with the November election fast approaching, we are continuing to bring you the perspectives of legislative and party leaders. This week, I spoke with the chair of the Minnesota Republican Party, Jennifer Carnahan. President Trump's campaign is making a serious effort to win Minnesota. The president has visited multiple times, so has Vice President Pence and members of the president's family. He narrowly lost Minnesota in 2016. Can he win in 2020?
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate being with you today. We are very encouraged and excited about the election that is fast approaching here on November 3rd. And we have all the encouragement and positivity that we do believe we are going to make history and flip Minnesota's 10 electoral votes in just under 50 days. In 2016, with the president coming within 1.5 points or 44,000 votes and winning 78 of Minnesota's 87 counties, we are feeling that momentum and energy in every corner of the state, where we know the folks that voted for the president in 2016 are going to come back out. We know there are people that did not vote for the president in 2016 that will come over and support him, and that's going to have a ripple effect as it reaches to every corner of our state and also further down the ballot.
So in preparing for this interview, I searched the Minnesota Republican website looking for a 2020 platform. I did not find that, but I did find a link placed prominently, reasons to vote for President Trump. Nationally, there are a number of former Republican leaders who have publicly said they will not support the president this time around. Are you concerned that by aligning the state Republican Party to the president, it may affect voting down the ballot locally and statewide, or is having President Trump at the top of the ticket advantageous for the party's success?
President Trump is our biggest asset on the ballot this year, hands down. You know, folks can support and not support whoever they want to, but the support for our president among all the leaders in Minnesota, among all of our activists, right, among candidates, among just general everyday families is very, very strong. And we know that with the president being at the top of the ticket, because of everything he stands for and the level of turnout that he is going to be able to inspire, that further down ballot candidates in districts that may have been challenging for Republicans before are now all of a sudden very much opportunities for us to flip or pick up. And we saw that happen in 2016 also.
So in a recent opinion for the Star Tribune, you said, quote, President Trump's first-term accomplishments are victories for the private sector, the working men and women and families across the country. So locally speaking, how have the president's policies helped Minnesotans?
Yeah, so we've seen under this president historic tax reform, right? Large economic growth. I think we just got off of August, where we had the largest job gain in American history with the number of jobs that were added across the country. And here in Minnesota, it's the same thing. You know, you can go and talk to all these local business owners. I own a business myself up in the Brainerd Lakes area. And obviously, a lot of us were hit hard by the pandemic. But prior to the pandemic, people were adding jobs, people were expanding their companies, and it was across all sectors of Minnesota. Everything from the Fortune 500s to the mid-sized companies to the Main Street small businesses like myself. And unfortunately, we're all hit a little bit hard by the pandemic and our governor's extreme orders on Minnesota, which put a lot of us in a bad spot. But now that we are moving through that and coming on the other side, we're seeing the president stand very strongly for that again. And consumer spending is coming back, right? The stock market's going up, and now businesses are starting to be able to reignite their engines as to where we were before the pandemic.
As you know, all 201 legislative seats are up for grabs this November. The Senate Republicans hold the majority right now, 35-32. The House is controlled by the DFL by a slightly larger margin, 75-59. What is the Republican message that will enable the party to gain control of the House, maintain control of the Senate, and have complete control of the legislature next year?
I think there are a couple of things that will work in our favor and will align and really resonate with the voters all across the state. The first one is Governor Tim Walz. He unilaterally gave himself executive powers to completely run this state and go around democracy and the legislative process. We have 3 co-equal branches of government, and basically right now, Minnesota's been living under one person's rule since March, And that is not what Minnesotans believe in or what they stand for. And because of that, the governor has unilaterally made decisions about our children's education, about our health care, about our businesses, when, how, and if we can even operate. And also, taking it a step further, he's made decisions around how people can practice their faith and also around our social activities. And so that is something that's going to be at the top of people's minds, especially now that we're in that window when kids are needing to get back into school, and there's been so much confusion and chaos around how that's done, and families are having to adapt in so many different ways, right, based on where they live in the state and what those school districts, how they're operating. The second one is going to be around public safety and having the rights and freedoms to make sure that no matter what we're doing in our lives, that we all are given the basic rights of protection. So I think that's going to be another top issue, because we see so many leaders on the left, Democratic candidates, right? Democratic leaders that are already elected that are standing behind the noise of defunding the police. And now you look at a city like Minneapolis, where I think they have 59 deaths, or did the other day, which is far surpassed what we've seen there in recent years. And now the city council there is trying to figure out, oh, why do we have so much violence? Why can't we stop it? Well, you're basically out there saying that all police officers are bad and saying that we should defund them all across the state. And then also having a candidate on the DFL side going out into one of our suburban areas in the city of Hugo and saying that the place should be burned down, and basically threatening a family, right, and beating piñata effigies. So that is linked to every Democratic candidate that's on the ballot, whereas our party stands behind, the right to peacefully protest, but peaceful in a respectful way that doesn't cause danger or harm or go after our police and result in, right, complete destruction of our largest city in the state. So I think those are going to be very important themes going into this election that will be impacted on the legislative level of races.
So you are a woman of color leading a party in which there are currently no Republican Minnesota legislators of color. Does that need to change, and why should non-white Minnesotans vote Republican this fall?
All voters in Minnesota should look at the quality and the candidacy of the individual running. And they shouldn't vote for someone or not vote for someone based on their external appearance. I myself, I would never want to have gotten into a college or been promoted or been hired into a company because of the color of my skin. I would have wanted to have been hired, selected, or elected even to my role as chairwoman because of my accomplishments, my record, my capabilities, my abilities, and what I can do. And I think that that's the way that people need to look at everyone running, no matter what level of office or what race it is. We have to judge the individual on their merits. And in the legislative races, we do have a lot of diversity in our candidates that are out there running. Some seats are more difficult for us to win than others, just based on the kind of demographic, not even the demographic, the voter makeup, right? Minneapolis and St. Paul, when you get into their core, they're very difficult places for us to win as a party. I ran there myself for state senate in 2016, and I got 22.5% of the vote, and that was a record in the history of Republicans running in that area. So we do have a lot of diverse candidates running, not only at the legislative level, but also at the federal level. We have Lacey Johnson, who's running for Congress, and Kendall Qualls, two Black men that have impressive backgrounds. And, we continue to recruit and build bridges into new communities, and really to try to widen our tent and show people the foundational values of our country that really align with the American dream and what people, I think, are seeking for future generations.
And finally, before we go, COVID-19 has completely upended our lives in so many ways and may actually impact how people vote, or if they vote in November. Are you recommending absentee ballots, and are you at all concerned about the slowdowns in the Postal Service?
So we absolutely encourage people to exercise their rights and their freedoms as Americans to be able to vote. So if that's absentee, with absentee balloting opening on Friday, people should absolutely do that, and we do encourage it. But a lot of folks as well want to be able to go vote in person. We also encourage that because that is their right. In terms of the Postal Service and the slowdowns, Minnesota has one of the earliest no excuse absentee ballot windows in the country, where voting is open 6 weeks before. So if people choose to vote absentee and get their ballots in the mail right away, I don't think there's any doubt that that ballot will get there in time. But the other thing that I'm not sure folks are aware of is they can get their absentee ballot and fill it out, but if they have concern with the Postal Service, they can actually go drop it off at a voting center, right? Or at their county elections office, wherever that might be. So there's multiple ways for people to ensure that their votes get in on time and get counted. And that's what democracy is all about.
Chair Jennifer Carnahan, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.